Good morning, YouTube. And then our last step here is to attempt to share over at Facebook. And all this might be done if we're lucky by 10 a.m. And we could start some painting. Okay, so we are live. Sort of. Share. Oh, we're live elsewhere? Okay, let's share over at Portrait Painters. Okay. But the only thing that I want to try to do before we kick in here is learn what it looks like when I'm zoomed out. So here, can we see this? What's that look like? Did I move it? There we go. No, that's too far. How about that? Yeah? Centered? A little delay here. Let's check it out. Twitch seems to be a little more... Oh well. I think we're okay. Sort of. Whatever. All right, we're centered as can be. And good morning. It's 10 a.m. We got a little... I don't know if it's allergies or what it is, but I'm going to try not to hack a cough here the whole morning. And try and keep our energy as up as Ripley here and Newt. Ripley and Newt from the Aliens film. All right, let's dive in, shall we? So, first, as always, we're going to get our paintbrush going. And we've got a lot of ground to cover here. Strangely enough, the hardest part is going to be the floor. But I think it's something that we need to articulate because it's important to the kind of ambiance here. It's a great promo shot. Not a lot of shadow. But she's got some cool Reebok shoes. And it's going to be fun. So let's see. I don't know how much fun it's going to be. It's going to be hard. But it's 10 o'clock and it's time to paint. So let's do it. First, we can sort of focus on head and shoulders stuff. And I'm not going to be going like wacky with detail here. We're trying to make this more fun and more expressive. Okay, so wish me luck, and I hope to hear from you guys as we go. And all right, let's do our best. Okay, scary stuff. Now, as always, we could start with our. We're never gonna. We don't need to be out this far. That's a little much, but we can go this far to get our colors. So really, we're just gonna like treat this like it is more like an expressive, abstract, not abstract, more impressionistic. Okay, that's the word I'm looking for. Because I think the impressionism is going to give us, the whole point of what I'm doing here is to try to loosen up. I mean, I'm like this, I'm a little stiff when it comes to painting portraits, and I think this is going to help me like get a little looser. So what I mean by that is, rather than paint every darn detail that you possibly can, we're just going to sort of get the general vibe of it. So if like the likeness is there, then we don't have to worry so much. Okay. So meaning, does it look like Sigourney Weaver? Can you tell what it is? Yes, we will get there. But we want to get there in such a way where it's energetic. As you can see, we're hitting it with highlights first. We don't have shadow in this particular reference photo, and that's fine. It makes it extra hard, but we're going to do it anyway. We'll grab colors for the eye. We can come in here. I don't want to zoom in and fall into that rabbit hole that I often do, especially for this one. I want it to be broader, and I want it to be livelier. So again, try not fall in the rabbit hole with me here. If you see me doing it, if you see me zooming in and going for eyelashes and all that, just say, stop it. Stop doing that. I've got a lot of... all right, so look. We have plenty of information here. We're going to just start using it. So it's like almost like we're treating this like a drawing. We want it to be bold. We want it to be expressive. All these things are things that are like, I get very caught up in detail stuff, and this is not my comfort zone, but we're going to do it anyway. Okay, let's get our shadow edge under the jawline. I said there's no shadow in this. There actually is a fair bit of shadow, but not on the features. Like, it's really frontal light. You can see that because, it's certainly backlit, which is cool. But it's also whatever light is going on in the front is flat, meaning it's not from the side. So there we are. We're gonna take our, really, the faster we can go, it's not, I want each brush stroke, so to speak, to be direct and clean and kind of not what we were doing with LeVar Burton and the Star Trek guy was a little, it was really refreshing to work that way. And in fact, I think we might do some things where we kind of alternate back and forth in that way, so sometimes we'll do these more finished illustrations where it's like the full, everything's kind of mapped out and I'm really doing that glorified paint by numbers thing. And then other times we may do more of the sketch sort of without reference, without doing a underdrawing, tracing, whatever you want to call it. So I just want this one to be like, there's so much happening here. I want it to really feel detailed, but expressive at the same time. So for me, that means getting in here and just hitting these dark accents. See, I'm not doing 25,000 things at once. I mean, I'm not. I'm not doing 12 brush strokes at once. I'm just doing one or two and saying, okay, how'd that go? Done. Move on. Again, we're finding the right brush stroke for the job. Right sized brush for the job. We've got a couple of these. We can really get down, and there's a tiny brush stroke here. And this one is going to be so, again, not too precise, but precise enough. I mean, we're not like gonna say, oh, we can't figure that out, or we're gonna feel this as we go. See how it goes. Some accents in here that show, what's the kind of shape of the hair as it ripples down. We'll focus on Ripley here. We're going to take our dark edge of the nose, pull it down. Whoops. That's not good. Pardon me, guys. So, we see we can do the whole hairline. It's really one color with some accents that pop in here that we can hit over the top later. But right now, we're just getting in our major dark shapes. And I don't want to, I feel myself kind of, it's such a small workspace here where usually the head is going to be like taking up most of this. This is much more of a figurative thing. But, as far as body and all that. So, And I guess I'll just sort of fall into the zone here. Usually when I'm painting a portrait, we'll get like a kind of there tends to be a bit more like the focus is the head, and that is in a way what the focus is going to be here, but there's so much expression in the rest of the portrait. I mean, in the rest of the image, that we really want to just get our head underway, and then quite quickly you're going to see me move into other expressive moments, like the gun, the straps on the gun, and on and on. So, I don't know, pretty iconic image, I think, if you ask me. And one that I thought was sort of fun and will yield some new portraits. Like, it might be like portraits of women, might be portraits of women holding people, things, I don't know. But I have an idea for a series going forward from this starting point. And I wanted this to be the kickoff. I also found some ways to get a hold of some larger reference images. They're not fail-proof strategies for getting them, but I opened up some doors that previously I thought been closed. So I'm able to get some things without breaking the bank. Get some photos to work from. And okay. So let's take something like the major reference point, which is the strap. We're just kind of filling in now. We want this to be dark. We're sort of filling in areas that are going to provide sort of anchor points, like, I don't know, more structural. Because for me, this is really about the structure of this. So, it's not just a head. The head is almost secondary to this giant gun and the action pose. Okay. Okay. We don't know often when we're painting where exactly the highlight is going to go. And we do when we're painting from a photo and we're being this precise, or more or less precise. We can find out, we can calculate where that is, but I'm going to leave it as though it's a painting that I'm working on from life, and sort of leave it. What you do when you're painting from life is you leave things a little more soft, because things move in nature. When you're painting from life, things move around. And so you can't just say, oh, there's the highlight on the eye. You can't just assume that. I don't know if I can get that. I don't know what that is. Oh man, it's probably... Ugh. I'll be back. Oh, that's an early morning delivery. Speedy delivery. All right. So now we've got golden hair on Newt, who is in hiding from the terrifying aliens. I remember that being quite captivating when I saw this movie as a child. You know, imagining myself in that situation. Not good. But she did a pretty good job, right? I think she took out a few aliens. Whatever. Hitting some accents here. Excuse me. Maybe this could be a good day to hit some Dayquil and do a portraits on stimulants. We'll hit this highlight because it's there. And we'll try a little Not really. Well, let's see how this unfolds. But where were we? We got distracted, right? I got distracted. I was working on this stuff. And I don't know, I could foresee this one taking a while, but I'm not sure. Like everything else, we just have to see how it goes. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a one-dayer. Doubtful. Very doubtful. You gotta get the tops of these. Oh shoot, what did I do? Nothing. Okay. I'm always looking for the other shoe to drop, you know? Because it drops, that's for sure. Speaking of shoes, if I didn't already mention, there are some Reeboks that were, I think, reissued. I think I got this image from a Time magazine article referencing the reissue of the Ripley Reebok shoes that she's wearing in this image. And I don't know, did anybody happen to pick up a pair of those? Pretty cool, if you see. What do you think? Okay, so we're gonna hit some straps. We're gonna plop. Oh, that's definitely the lightest light in this area, so we'll just hit it. Oh, dude. Sometimes I just don't know what happens when my color picker here. I gotta figure out how that works. There it is. All right, we do have this slash mark across the strap on the right. And definitely did another blunder on picking that color. But let's see where we get. All right. Now, as far as time lapse goes, what's the soundtrack? I mean, I don't even think there's any particular iconic music that I'm aware of. I mean, I don't remember the music being particularly melodic in these films. Anybody have any ideas? We could all, I don't know, maybe I like juxtaposing the music somewhat. We could just do some, really comes down to whatever they have on file for the Instagram Reels. So excitement at Citi Field over the weekend. We had some wins. The Mets won. And I actually went on Friday night to see the game with my family and a couple of friends. But they got seriously defeated that night. And then they came back and won. Did they win 3 of the 4? I don't know. There's another one tonight. I forget. No, they're on a break now. So, exciting baseball postseason stuff in the pipe. Okay. So one of the things that's good about painting with a little bit of an underdrawing is that you can see, not only do you know exactly where everything goes, but you're also able to, if you trust the drawing that you did, you will be able to, let me get a darker, because that's dark, right? Something like that. If you trust your drawing, you're going to be able to paint in a more expressive way. Like, it's fun to just paint, like, pitch right into the canvas, like with Geordie. But here we're trying to remember that our drawing has some really nice information. So let's put in some of these puzzle pieces here. One is, look at the shirt. I mean, I always remember thinking, oh my God, these people need a shower. Like, what is Newt gonna eat? She didn't take a bath. Like, when you're a kid, it's just hard to compartmentalize. This is science fiction, and it's but anyway, definitely a lot going on for this pair here. So we're going to take a broader brush. We're not going to get in here and try to do see how we did that broad brush stroke? Same thing here. We're going to attempt to not paint every nook and cranny again. And I say that every time, but it's hard. Very hard. Okay. It's hard not to get sucked into the into the details. And you don't want this to be like a paint by numbers. I mean, it is, in a sense, paint by numbers, because I know where the brush strokes generally are going to go, and in some cases exactly. But you don't want this to look like you just filled in. It's not a coloring book, right? It's a coloring book that has motion. And so you got to let yourself provide that excitement. And it's hard, because when you see it's a totally different thing from what we were doing with LeVar. But in some ways it's harder, in some ways it's easier, in some ways it's more satisfying, in some ways it's more boring. But the end result is going to be kind of a fun mosaic of brushwork, and that's what I like to sort of see happen, is how to watch the thinking unfold in a time lapse. So, we're going to hit Darkest Darks again. Really important to do so. We're, there's just a lot to get done here, right? So let's get in with the Darkest Darks again. We're going to do Ripley. We're not going to be zooming out so much. We're going to do, Newt's shadow patterns. On the overalls. I'd forgotten about her scary doll that she had. I mean, it's not nice to say that, but it was a little scary, the kind of like beat up doll. Poor. It's like all she had to hold on to from better times, memories of better times before the infestation. Now, I'm not really an Aliens aficionado. I've seen the movies multiple times, but I'm not seen any of the new ones, things like that. Anybody know what's going on in the Alien universe? All right. I'm going to grab a nice flesh tone. I remember for somebody who lives on a planet, and maybe this is wrong, maybe this is just because she's covered in dirt, but both of these guys, for somebody who lives on a planet that's bathed in darkness, 24 hours a day, they look like they were pretty well fed and not too kind of, I don't know, like a little bit like sun kissed. I don't know if that's the right memory I have, but anyway, maybe there were daytime scenes that there were certainly none in the movie, but maybe the movie all happened in one night. Doubtful. No, they slept, didn't they? I think they slept in Newt's like family cabin. Anyway, we'll figure this all out, get to the bottom of it. They were no doubt awakened, a rude awakening. Okay, so there we go. We're just hitting in our shadows. It's funny how dark this looks. That's right. And boy, oh boy. So let's get this hand going. This is hard, but we can do it. We got a pinky. We got the darks of the hand. The shadows of the hand are really important. So we got to find out where that shadow edge, it's probably right there. Got to get that one, that one. Okay, something like that. Something like that. Then one around the edge. And some more shadows that live here. So you see any of these little shadows? Like, you got to find out where they live and hit them quick before you lose sight of where they are. Here's another one. There's a little half tone as the shadow becomes light. All right, hold on here to our horses. Let's find out. Look at these. What's great is that this thing's backlit, and we're going to have some of these really nice lightest light. Excuse me. Oh boy, that's not what I meant to do. We'll have to hit that one again. Let's find out what's happening with this edge. Let's find out where this little handy paw is. What else do we got here? So, pretty easy thing to figure out here. Grab a lightest light from the background shadow and then just hit in 1, 2, 3 little highlights for the buttons. Excuse me, on the gun. Typically, hopefully not coughing like this normally, but I did suffer from a mild respiratory illness over the weekend. All right. So here, find our lights, grab it, grab it. How's that? Something like that. Watch, how does it come down here? I don't know, like that, something like that. We're just drawing in the highlights, right? And then we're going to place them over later. Where were we? We were on the hand. We had this beautiful blue highlight. It's like, if you look at photography today, when you're looking at photos of people, and I've noticed there's this kind of almost a fashion to light people with like rainbow colors, like green on the right, red on the left, and like no shadow. And what's weird is like, as like a traditional chiaroscuro type person who's looking for like clean lighting, I've done a lot of photography in my life, and what appeals to me, that style looks like, it's like lo-fi or something. It's like not, it's almost like they didn't have they messed something up, it looks like. I know that's not the way it is. And I know actually I've been photographed with that kind of style before. And it takes a long time to like set it up, and you're blasting the lights this way, and you have to have very specific laser beam shooting lights blasted at just this part of your face. So, but like, just to me, it looks like, I don't want to see that. Like, where are the shadows in his or her face? Like, I don't know. I'm not really doing a good job of describing this, but if you look at any photo shoots from the past 5 or 10 years, you'll see this convention that I'm talking about, where they want it to look like kind of rainbow colors. And I don't know. It's grown on me over the years, but when I first saw it, I was like, why aren't you lighting this thing properly? But that was like the whole point, was to, I think there's an element of it that it looks like, I don't know, it looks like retro or something. Okay. So you see what we're doing? We're just plopping in colors here. Here's a nice, we can zoom out. We don't have to zoom out that far, but this is our 100%, right? I don't know. I'm getting nervous now. Why did that happen? Okay. Here we go. Got to hit a accent. We're going to get our we get our 1, 2, 3. So there's the back of her overalls. There's another shot for the overall strap. Now wait a minute. Now this was wrong. Something like that's more right. I don't know. So now we're squarely in the fall season. Maybe not squarely, but we've just passed the fall. And I think it's going to be time soon to go hunting for candies. That'll be fun. There's a really scary guy. Maybe I'll take a picture. There's a scary guy who dresses up on stilts with a freaky clown mask. And I know where he is, but my son forgets every year. And it's a little intense, but he eventually befriended the guy. And they were like standing outside the bodega partying at like 11 at night, or no, maybe more like 9:30. We stay up late, but not that late. And I have some funny photos of, this little 3-year-old kid like making peace with the most terrifying clown on stilts you've ever imagined. All right. We're going to start to bring in our strappy dappy doos. Yeah, that's a dark, right? Keep it dark. Whoops. Another thing to edit. I'm going to go with our darkest darks along the edge here. Oh my. Ooh. So here's certainly our lightest light. And we can find sort of a middle value here to soften the edge, and you keep the change. And then we can find another dark edge. So yeah, this is more like the kind of puzzle piece style that I'm often looking forward to doing. Where you're really just finding you know where things are, it's safe. Let's finish up the strap. I don't know if that was too high or too low. Really paint by numbers here. And you'll see when it diverges from paint by numbers, I actually get a little... Like when I was doing Geordie LaForge, there was no paint by numbers involved. And I was like... It took me a long time to just sort of settle down emotionally, because it's like, whoa, like I didn't know if I was going to make it, but I made it. I made it well enough. It's not one that I'm going to write home about, but I like how it came out. And you could visit the time lapse on Instagram if you want to, or YouTube. And what else is going on? I don't know. I've got some plans for other portraits. I had an idea going, and I wimped out at the end. I didn't want to do it because it's my niece wants me to do a portrait of a hero, an icon, but it's going to shift the landscape. Like when I do this one, it's going to put me squarely in the contemporary world, and that's fine. Like the portrait's a portrait, right? But you'll see. I'm going to do it, and you be the judge of whether I jumped the shark or not. Okay, here's the dolly. Not to be confused with not Salvador Dali, but the dolly. So what the what? I don't know where that is. I remember when I was a photo editor at a magazine, that was when I first Googled, like, how do you increase the resolution of a photo? Because when you're in the print world, you need high resolution photos, much higher than this. This is low resolution, almost even for screen. But by resolution, I basically mean, if you're not familiar with that, most everybody is now. But when you start really working with images for different purposes, you learn things about resolution that kind of blow your mind a bit at first. And then you're like, oh, okay, I get it. But what was I going to say? Yeah, I once used Illustrator. See all these like little like passageways of like here, like for instance, just like every brushstroke I'm doing has kind of a, I'm trying to narrow down each brushstroke. I'm trying to assign a color to each brushstroke. Meaning, yes, I'm grabbing it from over here on the image, but really all that's happening is I'm saying, I know that this is darker than the thing next to it. And how much darker? That it's about like that. That's the tone I'm looking for right now over here. Hard to really verbalize, but just note that. Oh, weird! I messed that up. Note that I'm kind of. Oh, weird. You guys can't see where I'm painting there? I think I'm going to need to fix this up a little bit. Hold on. Where are we at? I just totally, I completely spaced out there on my I had been we got to figure this out. Yeah, like why? Anyway. Okay. Come on now. Well, can you see what I'm doing? I don't know. I mean, so what we're going to do is continue with our major shapes, our big shape, so to speak, which is, where is Ripley? Where is Newt? What are these darks? But I think to finish off what I was yapping about before, it was like you can take a photo and break it down into like mosaic tiles almost. And that's what a lot of times people are doing when they paint. They're looking at shapes as like almost planes, Definitely, that's what they're doing. Planes. Like, here's a shadow. Put that little plane in there and sink it down. Then you get the golden blonde hair here and make a plane out of that. So you're sort of going in the direction of the forms as they exist in nature. And what you end up getting is like an approximation of what it looks like in real life. And so the paintbrush allows you to like really get in there and be specific about how those forms turn. Whereas in Illustrator, one thing that I did when I was at a magazine, I was saying before, I needed a high-res photo, It was like a public domain photo, I think. It was just like some movie star from like the 50s, and I wanted to make it bigger, and but I didn't have a higher res photo. So I decided to make an illustration out of it by taking Adobe Illustrator and making like polygonal, like not triangles, but like more like smooth polygons. Almost the way that I'm choosing when I see it, like, oh, look at this polygon on the side of Newt's cheek here. Like, it's going to be like that. Okay. Like, it's like, and then, there'll be one next to it that's probably close in color. But so, you're just building up these planes and turning them as they go. With Illustrator, you can surround these shapes point for point and make little like islands of vector graphic that will blow up in scale forever. So you could print a giant poster of the thing without losing resolution of any kind. So that was another fun sort of like, it's almost like you're doing paper cutouts, collage. You know what I'm talking about? Like when artists do like collages of, like they cut out newspaper and stick it all together and they make like what looks like a real face out of like newspapers. Same idea. You have to know what shape it is, and then you find that shape or make it or cut it out. All right. Speaking of, I don't know, shapes, these are not like cut out shapes. These are not shadow edges. So what inevitably ends up happening is, you keep them broad. You don't want sharp edges here because all this is sort of like cloudy coloration. Where you do want the sharp edges, you got to find these darks that live under here. And as something like that. How about, it's kind of interesting, this whole shape here. I hope I don't have I heard some kind of a sound from outside. I hope it's not an alien. I remember that one of the scarier scenes in this movie was when Ripley is like, they have like a sensor. You know what I'm talking about? That's like 10 meters. And they know how close the thing's getting. That's pretty spooky. And it gets closer and closer. And then I think it just like, oh, dude, yeah, there is. There's a creature outside. It's not an alien, unfortunately, but I thought it was it's a squirrel. I had squirrels living in my ceiling at an apartment that I rented years ago. And speaking of this scene in Alien, when they finally break through, when they're like 10 meters, he's getting closer, oh man, and they're like, the thing gets closer and then it basically breaks through eventually. But what I liked about that sorry. I suddenly realized, what? We're an hour in and haven't even done anything. But it's all going to be good. We're all good. Where was I? Yeah, so I had some squirrels living in my... the thing breaks through the ceiling. The alien breaks through the ceiling, and I think it uses its, like, acidic blood or something that they shoot into the ceiling, and then the blood pours down through the ceiling. I don't know if you remember that scene, but something like that happens. But in my old apartment, my landlord, I would tell her every week or so, I'd be like, look, I still have squirrels in my ceiling. Like, they're making a lot of noise. They're probably ruining your building. Like, squirrels just, like, make a latrine, Like, they don't... It's not like they're keeping it tidy up there. So, and, she was just like, well, it's like the kind of thing where if it's not damaging her rental properties, like, you're not going to do anything about it. But it was unsettling to have, like, scritchy, scratchy live animals. And then you could hear, like, at one point they had, like, babies, I think, because you could hear, like, the, mew of the little ones. And so eventually it got to the point where they were scratching at my ceiling in my bedroom. And I was like, God, like, please, like, can you do something about this? Nothing. And then eventually they, just like in Aliens, they broke through the ceiling. And it was like a little hole in the ceiling. And it must have spooked them because they stopped digging for a long time after that. But, like, probably like a shaft of light popped up through the floor and they could smell, like, people all of a sudden, like. And I just took a photo of that and sent a text to the landlord saying, they're here. And within about 12 hours, or no, it probably took 24 hours, but it wasn't long before there was a pest control individual who attempted to take care of the situation. I don't know, like, there's a lot of laws in New York. You're not allowed to, like, kill animals like that, or maybe, I don't know. Like, you can't trap them, because if you trap them, there's nowhere to put them. You're not allowed to release them into the park. So I don't know, not that anybody follows the laws around here, but just saying that, like, this was a pretty shady operation of a pest control guy. He came into my apartment and he asked me if I had a ladder. It was great. And I was like, no, I'm afraid. No, he's like, oh, I have one. It's just down in the truck. All right. And then he dug a giant hole in the ceiling and put a trap up there and put peanut butter in the trap. Now, if you were a squirrel living in New York City and somebody put a giant metal cage within your attic apartment that you've now taken over with your family, and somebody puts a metal cage there and fills it with, like, a couple of scoops of peanut butter, would you go into that cage? I mean, now think about this. You could go right outside, zip back out to the sidewalk and go to the trash can that you've been eating out of for weeks, years, and just grab a piece of pizza or what? Oh my God. So basically the point was the trap didn't work. The trap didn't work. And so not surprising, I guess, but then what they did was they they sealed up like a bunch of potential entry points, which was super surprising to me because they didn't do that first. Like, that was odd to me because, you know, like I was saying, if they're scared of this trap that they put up there, they don't want to go in that thing. So it was just weird that they didn't look for entry points first. But eventually they sealed up the entry points, and the squirrels, I think they just left because they were like, oh, you know, let's get out of here. These people have wised up to us. They're very smart creatures. I think they were just like, let's get out of here. Where we can, you know, find another nest. So that was exciting. I liked having them there because it was kind of fun to watch them gather their materials and all that. And so on. Anyway, I've got some calls popping in here. I'm not going to take them right now, but it is Monday. Yeah. Take a little bit of the inside of the we're starting to get a little bit of a about so Ellen Ripley. And then I've had a couple of pest Cool, cool, cool. Cool, 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 cool. All right, a little distracted, but we're just gonna push through, right? That's what we do. Highlight in the forehead. Something like this. It's nice to get those highlights in first, and then you get the middle values. Something like that. Lots of highlights on the forehead. I mean, this is all you'll see. If you don't know me by now, when you see a portrait that's done more in a chiaroscuro style, you'll note the difference between. You'll start to see like how the highlights work. I mean, this whole portrait, the whole form of her head, of her face, is indicated by virtue of the I had to get in there a little. Excuse me. Okay. It is all articulated. The shapes are all articulated through the highlights. We don't have a shadow. We have, obviously, the light has nowhere to go inside the nostril. So there's a dark there. There's a giant dark between the teeth, But other than that, we've got only highlights to indicate where what the form of the head is. So we got to find those. We got to bring them in. I'm looking forward to a potentially crazy day here with more phone calls than I can shake a stick at. But I just want to keep the ball rolling as far as our projects here. So we're doing that. Ellen Ripley, go in beast mode. Okay. I think we'd started to pop in some of these darks for the around the gun area, and we'll I think that went a little too high, so we'll try and carve it back in. We'll take let's find the indication of where Newt's leg is, because I think that's pretty critical to know where, how and where Newt is tucked in here. Got a giant brush, hit that across. Another brush. Let's find a shadow edge here. Whoa. When I get those buzzes at the same time as I get a kind of encoding error, it's really stressful. So I think what I might do is just start cutting out my phone and not doing phone time. All right, how are we looking? Basically, this is our viewpoint here. We're probably want to hit a nostril in on Newt. There we go. How about a mouth? And oh shoot. I don't really. Sorry. Excuse me. Nope. Look at the blue lights there. Something like that. Pardon me. Okay, so look, you put in the gun? Sure, you put in the gun. The gun's the fun part, I know, but there's not much else. You know, This is where the action is. And the Reeboks. No. So here, we'll take this. Is that going to cut it? Zoom in. Take a look. That's a big highlight on there. A giant gun. It's probably too... Okay, something like that. Something like that. Did I ever end up getting this figured out? What is that? Yeah, okay. I didn't sort that out. Boy, too much. Oh, that hurt. So, this is the fun part because it's just nice, solid shapes. I don't have to worry about whether it looks like anybody. You just hit these highlights, get the lightest light. So see that? There's a little highlight underneath the gun there, but... All right. Let's find out where other stuff goes before we go too nutty here. How about we just find some darks for the hands here? Something like that. There's a little one that goes across there. So basically, you put in the darks, look both ways, look across. I didn't get the edge of the thumb here in my underdrawing, but that's all right. We can figure that out. Find our edge. It's kind of a nice point of interest. Really just kind of hitting large like where do we see the most activity here? Like where's the most Somebody doing weed whacking outside. I'm about to shut that window. What do you think? Although a nice sort of spring-like smell is wafting through. So it's kind of a last reminder of the season passing. Summer? I don't know. Okay, another highlight. Look at these blue highlights are really interesting, just like the one that we had on Newt's hair earlier. That's going to tie together the whole light pattern, just those two. And then, of course, let's blast this back. Ironically, when you sometimes you're using shadow to like knock things back in space. In that instance right there, you could see by hitting the highlight of the background, this kind of carves out gives us a feel more. Here's an example where like we want this to recede in space, so we find the edge here. All right. Here we got our gun edge. Now we're getting too far into the weeds on the gun here, but that'll all be fun and fine later. Why did I crop it like this without the end of the gun? Well, a number of reasons. One is that the way it fits on my time-lapse display, I wanted it to be 1920 by 1080. And then, so that's really the main one. But I cropped out the gun, and, you know, I'm still working with resolution and learning about digital painting generally. And so we may see some things get adjusted with my techniques here. Shall we begin to really clarify where the bottom of the nose is? Probably. We'll zoom in. You know, this stuff's delicate, so we'll zoom in, find it, zoom back out. Did we ever finish? We were on a mission, and I dropped our mission, which is like the story of my life here. We had a mission. The mission was to find out where Newt's pant leg was and kind of create Newt world, Newt land. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. Something like that. We will find our highlights on the pant. Ripley's pants. Let's find, I left some areas in the underdrawing to indicate where the darks are. So there's one. And then let's find one up here. Ba-da-ba-ba. Okay, something like that. I had to pick a color that would tonally get the... What is this? Why do emails start? Do they start on the half hour? When do marketing emails really kick off? I've never figured that out. I guess they could happen all day. All right, we're gonna get our finger. Gonna get our finger as it comes across this way. And you might want to hit some of these lights on the watch here. I'm learning very quickly that digital, the lighter the colors are, the harder they are. I'm sorry. I can't even remember how this order of operation works, but I've been complaining about it. When you put in a light, if you want to build a highlight up later, good luck. So like, you should put the highlights in first, which I don't really like. I like to be able to hit a highlight over the top once I've already got the dark down. But the only way to do that I've learned about so far was to do so using layers. So in other words, usually I'm drawing on one layer or painting on one layer. But I think the thing to do that I'm discovering is the thing that I'm discovering. I don't know. You'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, now I'm just doing smudge work. So, what else is happening here? Not sure about that. Get the Newt's overall figured out a bit better. This will be fun. Hit a dark across the strap of the gun here. Dun, 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 dun. Good. Now, wispy time for the arm. Now, it's going to be really tempting to me. Normally, if I'm doing a portrait, you know, the portrait is not the focus of this. In other words, the head is not the focus of this piece, clearly. There's a giant gun that kind of takes a bit more, at least the way I cropped it was to try to like keep it a little bit more portrait-y. But the bottom line is that usually when I'm doing a portrait, drawing, the thing is done. Like I can focus on the facial features more. And I could do that here. But there's so much more to focus on. So, but what ends up happening is there won't be much of a time lapse to send out today, I don't think. It'll be tempting, but I don't want to send it out because by the way, let's grab these. See, here's an example. Get the highlight first, and then feed it in there, and then get this nice highlight reflection, whatever it is. One of the things I really like about this is watching the time lapse come to life. And I've started doing like more than one time lapse. Per project. And I don't think I'm going to be able to do that with this one. So, we're only halfway through our session, but, so you never know. But, well, you probably know. We probably know. Sorry, guys, getting dizzy. Getting dizzy. Da-da-da-da-da. We can really get in here and start doing legs and outlines, and that's kind of when I say like there's so much structural stuff to work on. This is kind of what I mean. Like should have got this color in here, because here's another sample where, look, you try and get a dark in here after you've pumped in your light, and it's takes a long time, almost impossible, and it's not going to be a crisp dark shape the way I prefer them to be, but that may just be time for me to learn Okay. Now, try to keep things brushy, right? Can we? Let's try it. Down in here. Oop. Okay. Where is I gotta have a sip of this. So really cool stuff happening. In my opinion, not on the painting, but in the speaking of like what's happening elsewhere, like the background and the wisps of smoke. That'll be some fun stuff to get into. But for now, let's keep getting the structure going. You know, really get our brush. Get our brush. What the heck? What is this? I told you that dreaded floor is going to take a lot of spending time. Diagonals are the worst. Just like, no doubt about it. The diagonal throws your brain off. Because the more your eye tries to follow it down, like you're following this one down, where's this point? Oh, it's over here. But like, hard to explain, but the diagonal from the photo starts to override your common sense about where the marks should go. But who said this was ever about common sense? And we're going to find our edges, really sharp edges here. The whole thing is so bathed in frontal light that we kind of don't need to it's just it's just going to be a different thing than what we're used to. Let's get some light where the two legs join here under the pelvis. Grab a bit of lights, something like that. All right, so zooming out, zooming in. I'm going to now hit one of these Reeboks because it's fun. I'm always looking for little rewards along the way, and this is definitely one of them. There's a highlight on the tip of the boot there. Where does it live? Probably over here. There's a darker dark there. We get a highlight. Not like you're going to see this in the finished piece, but a little highlight on the bubble of the Reebok there. Oop, already killed it. Clumsy. So, squinting, there's a lot of dirt on these shoes. And dum 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 dum. We just want to find our shadows if we can, and then we'll take our nice strip here. Now I forget, were the Back to the Future 2 shoes, were they Nike? The ones that like, I don't know. Are those Nike? And then did that inspire or did this movie inspire the marketing team on those other movies to put in the futuristic shoes? But we can very clearly see the Reebok logo. I'm not going to be doing too much to hammer that home. Again, darkest darks. Find our path around. Nice one, something like that. And who's that? Ariandel. What's up? Hi to you. What's going on? what's new? We're here doing our due diligence, finding maybe a new series. Just started drawing and thought about watching some stream. Here you are. Awesome. So remind me where you left off. Were you watching Bob Ross? No, you were watching Mr. Rogers last, maybe? And then we did a 3-hour thing on Friday just to get a sketch going. And that was fun. But I haven't seen you for a while, so very happy to see you. Very welcome back. And enjoy. If you can. I mean, this is a slow one. There's not a lot of portrait happening here, which is figure is not what my strong suit is. I'm better off being deployed on portrait, but I had an idea for one today, but I chickened out at the last minute. And I said, you know what? This is a crowd pleaser. It's hard to say no to aliens. Yeah, I do enjoy figure, but I have almost no. My practice is mostly with the nude, and I like it, but there's too many parts, as always. A lot of moving parts, and my experience is really with like nude figure drawing, and here I am with just clothes and action, but I'm not complaining. I'm kind of finding it relaxing. I just wish there was a little bit more to do in the way of portrait early on. I kind of started into the portrait there and was like, you know what, there's more to do than the portrait. And I think usually what I do is I'd like to leave things a little broad and then sort of say at the end, and the portrait's done. Because like at this point, we already know what we're drawing here, you know? Like it's not like a surprise that it's Ripley at this point in the time lapse. And that's what it's all about, right? Just getting the time lapse. No, I don't know. For me, it's been fun watching the time lapses come together. So, yeah. So, are you painting figures yourself these days? Or what were you working on? What were you going to be drawing? Whoops. Let's see. We'll finish this gun. Fire in this highlight here. It's a good slashy highlight to put in. Whoa, how about not like that? Something more like that. That was crazy. There's another highlight that lives right here. Usual figure drawings with pencil. Cool. Yeah, I did some charcoals when I was in art school. Mostly charcoal. And then there was always a chance to paint the figure, but at that point in my development, hold on, pardon me, at that point in my development, I was really got into just the head, and I almost completely stopped drawing the figure, and just every day, 2 sessions a day, was working on portraits, and my figure work languished, and I haven't ever really studied the figure since then, except for when I go on my annual painting retreats in the summer. And it's all related, right? It's all trying to make lines more accurate and faster. Cool. I hear you. I'm trying to do one brush stroke and then say, that'll do it. Not easy. Speaking of which, let's get back to the easy peasy, where we already have our outlines. And I think if I can stop myself from making this thing look like what I want to do is make it look like a painting, like that's what I'm trying to do. And I think part of that is because I'm using the colors I'm using, or I'm stealing colors from the photo. I should probably be mixing my own colors, but I don't even know how to do that with digital. Like, could I use the limited palette? Like, I don't know. But there's just a lot of, I'm staying in my comfort zone, but I think little by little I'm starting to creep forth. And it takes things, it just, as you know, you do it every day, and you might have a shot. Speaking of having a shot, we got a giant gun here. I don't even know what it shoots. Is it like electric blasts? Like what? What's the ammo here? Boom, boom, boom. You want to get in here, fire off some darks. See how easily distracted I am these days. So, okay. We're piecing together the gun here, little by little. And what else is going on? We'll take our dark edge here and lose this, and then we can hit highlights over the top later. Did we finish Newt's? We never got around to finishing Newt's like pants or anything. So what's going to happen now? Let's get the rest of the Reebok on the right in, so we at least know where it's going to live. So here's an example. Like, wouldn't it be nice if I could just use one brush stroke? But I can't. I can do 2 or 3. Because I'm too scared to leave it that way. So, red edge. Yep, that was too. Okay. Ugh. So sometimes that happens. I don't know why. But I don't. All right, let's get the Reebok logo in here. That's not going to do it. So there's like a big R and then a bunch of other stuff here. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, the other day on Friday, I did one where it was completely different. It was much more a la prima. I had the photo set up, and I just cracked in the lines, and I remembered what a bad draftsman I am, because I had to move the guy's visor, and I deliberately chose one that didn't have eyes because I didn't want to push eyes around the whole stream, and it reminded me really what's so difficult about really painting and painting from life. And so I decided to let myself off the hook and just have a fun paint by numbers day or two. But I learned a lot, that's for sure. And look, here I go as I speak. I think I may have forgotten to put in my paint by numbers here. So I got to make them up. Never a good idea. Excuse me. Yeah, we'll make them up. How's that? See how far over they go. Something like that. And we'll grab our Reebok logo red here. Oh, dude, there's no reason there. At that point, you just pick one from somewhere else. Here's our whatever this is, pretty cool stuff here. Really, what you're talking about, Ariandel, with the faster and more accurate. It's the same thing with painting. Like, get some lines going, but the lines, it's like brush strokes, lines. It's kind of like describe the form as quickly and efficiently as you can, so you don't get lost into this trap of becoming like a hyper photo realist. not a trap for some. And in fact, for me, it's not a trap. I really enjoy it. But I want to branch out from that and be more lyrical, be more expressive as a painter in a way more like I was when I was a student. And that was really when I enjoyed painting almost arguably the most. And so I think the freedom of not feeling you're emulating a photograph and more trying to be expressive is freeing and satisfying. So anyway, that's what I'm working at. Shall we close this up? God knows I'm scared of that floor. Okay. We get our lines in the background here. And I think it's almost time to, well, here, let's put in this blue highlight. Whoops. So here, you see we're just trying to oh God, that's so scary. What happens is I have in order to fit my computer and everything on here, I have to have my tablet hanging halfway over the table. So if I ever press the stylus or whatever too far on the bottom of the tablet flips up, and I'm scared not because I can't just erase it. It just gives me a surprise. I use this I don't know how to pronounce it. Wacom Intuos from, I don't know. I think I bought it 10 years ago. Maybe less, but it is, yeah, it's tiny actually. And I like that in a way, but in a way I'm thinking maybe it would be nice to have a big one. What's that? HOLL? What does that mean? Sorry, some really impressive thing. Oh, you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not I'm not a digital painter. I've never even painted on a screen before, which is what a lot of the kids are doing now. I've never painted directly on a screen. Okay. So yeah, let's get in here with this. This will show where the bottom of the foot is. Oh, the one with the screen. No, No, I don't know anything about that. Like, I kind of like the challenge too of like drawing on this little tablet and having it pop up on the screen. I just have no idea what it would look like because I'm looking at my. I should show my setup maybe at some point, but I'm looking at my MacBook and I'm just plugging in shapes. So, and I've often, like, I don't have a tablet. I don't have that kind of tablet. I have an iPad, but you can't really use iPad. Once you try screen tablets, it's impossible to think about doing such paintings with the screenless one. Really? Oh, because it's just like a direct thing. It's just like 1-to-1. That's cool. So what's a good product there? I mean, is the Apple iPad Pro a good product, or you can't run Photoshop on it? So I don't, right? Yet, can you? I don't know. I'm just kind of, I want to get into it, but I think it's a little bit of what you're talking about, where it's like, yikes. I don't want to open that can of worms. It's basically normal painting, but on a fridge like. Wait, didn't you just. Once you try screen tablets. Oh, a refrigerator? Like that kind of like. A fridge like. Do you mean like the bumps? Like literally there are bumps on the tablet? I gotta, like, I guess I'm kind of an Apple nerd and I want my next product to be Apple. And no, that's all right. A fridge like texture. Like, I'm thinking of like a 1980s refrigerator. You're talking about like brushed metal refrigerator? Okay. What's the name of the tablet that you're talking about? What product is that? Is it an Intuos money thingy? All right. Let's find. No, 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 no. Huh. Okay. Neat. I'll check it out. Yeah, this is definitely from the Stone Age. And it's like, it's like you're painting on plastic. There's like no grip to it, So slippery. Oh, there's even less grip. Do you want that? The newest model, I guess, is $5,000. Wow. Holy moly. Better do some commissions quick. So, but the pen has like a rubbery tip, or you can put it. Can you? Huion Canvas Pro 2019. Okay. Cool. For those who may be watching on YouTube, Ariandel Art is talking about tablets and things, and it's something I don't know a lot about, but so the tip of a what does Ariandel, what do you use, like your pen, stylus, whatever it's called? What is the tip of it? It's not rubber. It's like silicone. Like, what is it? It must have some grip, or it can be whatever you can screw any attachment on there. Like, I mean, I just have like one tiny point here, and it's made of hard plastic, and it's like, yeah, it's precise, like I don't, it's, I'm much more concerned about my traditional brushes. Like, I spend tons of money on those things when I need to, when I'm using them, like for oil portrait commissions. Like, the brushes are, they're like sable brushes usually, which I know is animal rights disaster. But I don't. Okay. What can we do here? Let's find our highlights along the edge of the hair. Ariandel Art post. Thanks for the link to the Amazon purchase. I'll check it out. It's something like that. It's on Amazon. Okay, cool. Boom, boom, boom. Doom, 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 doom. Gotta find our highlights there. And let's find our outlines here. Outlines underneath. Nice gun shapes here. This is like 1986, like the level. This is like what a MacBook used to look like in like the mid 90s. So these guys were way ahead of their time. MacBook Pro, or what were they called again? PowerBook. Yeah. Gosh. Getting tuckered out after all this outline work. It's hard. Let's put in our, find something like this. I did once use an iPad and just opened up like the Procreate software, which I've hardly ever used. I used it once. And I painted like with my finger while observing a model. And it wasn't horrible. It just was very clumsy because I was using like the tip of my finger. But the software is certainly nice. I just like Photoshop, and I don't know how to connect with Photoshop with those other devices. But I think that's probably all something I should look into. All right, let's put a highlight in. Highlight on the gun. Highlight over here. Because as I was saying before, with this one, the highlights are really the shape of the whole thing, because everything's flat lit, which it's not lit the way with shadows and all that. Whoops. Oh, dude. Oh, boy. Oops. So the highlights are the things that make everything really come to life in terms of shapes and all that. So we've got about 45 minutes left, I would say. I'm going to have a long drink. And we will try to proceed. All right, so that's that. And we'll put in a highlight there. Find a highlight here. Trickle in those highlights. Find our edge of this. This is nice stuff to work with here. I just... One of the things that I like about working separate from the screen itself is that it frees me up to be able to look at both the subject and the artwork at the same time. I don't have to look at... It's like the brush, my hand would otherwise get in the way. Not just, I don't know, not like, and I don't mean that from the standpoint of, I just want to see like the brush strokes as they go down, because there's something in the way here, which is the little cursor. But what I'm talking more about is I can't have both of them in front of me at a 90-degree angle the way I do here. Like I'm looking right at both, and I can flick my eye back and forth and say, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. When you have a tablet, I guess you could do that, but you'd have your neck craned down the whole time unless you put it on an easel like this, and then I don't know. It really depends what you're used to, I think, more than anything. And if and when I ever get into that dang studio, I've got so many things going on right now that I'm just barely even able to keep a steady painting practice. But there's no Mets game tonight, so that should help free up some time. Excuse me. All right, we're coming in with a little bit of more clarity here, but still not quite. Like, so we want our highlights here, right? Where are our highlights? There's one there. There's one here. Where is this? Well, I think it was here. I think it was a little something here. There's our highlights. We can keep our steady. There's another one. Didn't get any of this hair stuff going in my... We're going to put our darks in a bit better. See where those are. Hard to find, but especially with my crazy underdrawing that didn't really help me. I think something like that. Who knows? And yep. Got this thing over here. Oh, I don't need that. I want to do that right now. Let's put in a shadow edge. We were working on shadows in the very beginning. Whatever shadows they'll give us, I'll take them. That is for sure. There's a shadow here. There's a shadow there. There's a shadow everywhere. Not a lot of shadows here. There's a blue light. Kind of filters through here. That's a nice example of that. You got to put your highlights down first when you're doing the digital thing, because you could lose them. Something like that. Weird. That was not great. I need a highlight here. Fix that problem. Yeah. Tip of the nose, tip of the nose, tip of the nose. No. Okay. So let's get in here and pardon me. Find our edge. See where we had the highlights coming around. You could see what's kind of, there's that little carve into the fingers there, and then this highlight. You know, you have to invent little stories about what these shapes are so you don't forget what they look like. It's like little countries or something intertwined. Okay. All right, big kind of blast of light here. There's some tiny, really small stuff happening here that there's not a lot of runway for me to plunk down a lot of color or whatever. So I think in the last bit here, what I want to do is take our chance to get a blurred edge, like get an edge going around the whole shape. These are lines which do not exist in nature, but they contain the form. So let's take this one and sort of find out how close this could be. We're going all the way around the horn here. Not sure if that was the correct, but you can sort of get the likeness a bit. That's good. Over here, we're not going to see much of a difference, but at least we get an outline. Cool. Cool. Not sure about that exactly, if that was that cool. But we are gonna try to... Oh, Ariandel, I didn't see a sign out there. Have a good meal and see you next time. Thanks for stopping in and for the insights. And then we'll gather our edge all the way up. Something like that. And then we'll... Okay, so we're slowly carving away. Slowly but surely. We can also get more structure here on the gun. Cannon? What is it? I don't know. But so you try to put a highlight in here and it just gets mixed in too much. So we'll see. We'll see if we need that later. We will, let's grab our, this is a nice shadow area on the edge of the cannon here. It continues through. Get our gosh, I'm getting into the zone. It takes 3 hours for me to finally settle in after a long weekend. I guess that's part of it, right? It's like the weekend. You get all that buildup of confusion from not doing your daily practice. But here I am, I'm back. And not for too much longer. But it's been good to... At first I thought I wasn't going to love this project, but I thought, let's just do it anyway and see how it goes. But so far I'm enjoying it. It's hope it's been fun to watch some of it, and I think this should set us up well for the next one. There's one. What was that? The little hair that was like flickering off here. We really need to hit that highlight. See this? Something like that. We'll have to get in there again. My goodness. I may have to hit the Dayquil again because I got a little cough. A little tickle in the old lung. Whoops. See that? I should not have done that. There we are. Excuse me. I'm missing some of these chats, so thank you, Ariandel, for hanging in there. All right, I believe we got kicked off. Let me find out where we were. And how long have we been at this? They won't tell me. Oh, yeah, they will. Hold on. All right, yeah, we got about 7 minutes to go. And so things are coming along. I mean, we are I like the development on the gun. I'm going to leave it like that for now because sometimes you start developing things too much, and sometimes I start developing things like too much. So let's get some of this knee in here. Get a highlight. Get a highlight. Starting to get some of this anatomy coming through. Blur it across. Find this dark here, because that's going to help us. Grab it. I think this is kind of what I've been meaning to get to for a bit. We got Newt and Ripley. starting to take form here. Right? And we got about a 3-minute mark left to go. That's okay. We're going to find our our highlights on the tip of the nose. Oh boy. Oh, hello there. I like the very sort of intimate text that you get from spam bots these days. Hello there. How are you doing today? There's that billionaire guy in his limo that says, "It's absolutely none of your business." But we are crawling into a finish here. And we got plenty of time to continue with this another time, another day. We got to get the emotional. We got to get that. Brave kid in this movie, huh? You get a chance to paint my very favorite teeth. And let's just fill in a little bit of blanks here as we ride this one out into the sunset. Okay. We are about at the 3-hour mark. I'm not completely ready to call it. But it's been fun either way. I'm going to take a look. And I think I'm going to call it for now. And then we'll see you next time. We'll get a little bit more brushwork action. And give it a shot. And for now, thanks for joining. And as always, happy painting. Bye-bye.